Hello, everybody. It is me, Weslie, Wally VanVoorhis for ERA Decker Real Estate. I'm an associate real estate broker with ERA Decker Real Estate here in Whitney Point, New York. My phone number here at the office is 607-692-3665. You can also get my cell, by the way, at 607-725-1446. I'll be rolling through some of that stuff for you again here in just a little bit. Hey, Rick, Adam, Nicole, thanks for joining us. Rita, how are you today? So it's almost at the end of March. We're getting into April. And April, by the way, is going to be bringing up the Broome County tax foreclosure auction. So you can find more of that at the Broome County tax auction site. Just Google it online. That's what I did today. We're not going to talk anything about that today because we got too much other stuff to talk about here. But I got some things I want to discuss with you here a little bit today. By the way, as always, if you have any questions, Ellen, I used to work with my friend Ellen. She's joining us here. Hi, Ellen. I haven't seen you in a while, Elle. Jerry and Scott and Amy and Rick, how's it going? So we're going to be discussing some local topics here with the local real estate market. And as always, if you have any questions, pop in, throw a question down in the comment section, and I will try to get an answer for you here while we're live. We'll be here for maybe a half an hour. I got a headache today, so maybe I'm giving you a headache too. We'll be ending this maybe a little early. We'll see if that really happens. So listen, my territory here is pretty much Broome, Tioga County, also Shenango County, Otsego County, some parts of Delaware County. So this all pretty much takes what we're talking about today, makes sense to anybody that's trying to buy or sell houses in this area. So let me get to the first question that was asked earlier today when I asked this. By the way, I'm going to start doing that earlier on Wednesday morning, saying, hey, if you have any questions, feel free to write them down, and I will do what I can to research them and get them back to you while we're doing this live at lunch. By the way, thanks for anybody who's joining us on your mobile device at lunch. Great. Just don't watch and drive or get caught anyway. So someone wrote this question earlier today about rent to own. And how do you rent to own, or is it a good idea or a bad idea? I'm kind of throwing some of this stuff in here. Rent to own, people ask that all the time. So who are the people that are asking if someone will be willing to rent to own? Let me reverse that for you. So if you had a house that you wanted to sell, would you be willing to rent to own to somebody? You might. I think probably 99.9% of the time, people who got a house for sale or want to sell their house, they want to get their money. They want to move on with their life. They want to go to Boca, or they want to go to West Coast or wherever, around the world cruise. If they've got a $150,000 house or $100,000 house, they're probably likely going to want to have that money in their hand to be able to move to the next location. So with that in mind, knowing this, most people who rent to own are probably people, and I'm sorry if I'm grouping everybody together here. Most of the time, if you're asking me if people can rent to own, that's probably meaning that you've got a couple of credit hits on your credit. Your credit's not that great. Maybe you don't have a lot of money in the bank. You're looking for that last-ditch effort to be able to own your own home instead of renting it. Rent to own is still renting, by the way. Just so you know, it's still renting. You have not taken ownership of that house. So when will that happen? It could be endless. It could be down the road 5 years. It could be down the road a year. It could be down the road 20 years. It really kind of depends on the different parameters that are written into the whole agreement, lease agreement, rental agreement, whatever it may be. So my thoughts, I'll tell you my thoughts on a rent-to-own deal. Here this is. I think if you're looking to rent-to-own a home, you're better off, in my opinion, and not every opinion, not every case, mind you, you're better off doing the hard work to get your credit cleaned up and get yourself in a position where you're able to buy a home free and clear without anybody else being your landlord on the whole rent-to-own thing. The rent-to-own thing to me usually is this. Someone's going to end up getting hurt down the road. Someone's going to be have misconceptions about what the deal was. Someone's going to end up getting screwed in the end. Not in every case, but every case that I've been involved with or I've heard about, that's exactly happened. Because what happens? So I'm renting this house to you, and I'm renting to own this house to you. So what happens? You're sending me, we'll say $500 a month on this whole deal. So $500 a month you're giving to me. That's really low, by the way. You're sending, let's do this realistically. You're giving me $850 a month. I'll put $150 of that towards the down payment of your house. So that goes over here into this account, allegedly, right? So that means $700 of it is for rent. So you're spending $700 on rent. $150 or whatever I just said is going into the landlord's pocket or into his bank account to put aside for you for your down payment. So what happens if the owner of this property passes away and now all of a sudden it's in the state and the children or whoever is left as the executors decide to take over and now have to figure out what they're doing? And they have to figure out where this money is. Are they still liable to rent or to keep doing this whole thing to you? I'm not sure what the legal answer is there. I'm thinking that you got some legal jeopardy going on there. But me not being an attorney, you should check with your attorney first. I want to get that disclaimer out here because I cannot offer legal advice. All I can do is what I've seen in the past is people who've done this and have rented to own. Some of the people that I've talked to have ended up not having it work out well for them. So, you know, you look at the end of the year, what do you got towards the whole down payment of your house? Maybe $1,200 in that whole rent-to-own thing. I'm not doing the math correctly, by the way, but $1,200, $1,300. Maybe what you should do is find out what you need to do to get your credit cleaned up, because it might not take all that long. You might also be able to find out from your lender on exactly what programs are out there to help you, such as maybe a mortgage assistance down payment kind of savings account, where some of the banks will give you $4 to every one that you put aside in the savings account. Now you're making money. It's now, instead of at the end of the year, instead of having $1,200, you've got another $4 for every one. So you do the math, $4,800. I think that math works out. Sorry, wasn't a math whiz. But you know what I'm trying to say here is that way you're taking care of your own destiny. You're not letting somebody else who you may or may not know all that well. And sometimes it's the people that you know really, really well, which are the ones that are probably not going to be too nice in this whole deal. Just saying. So rent to own, in my opinion, it's not really a great option. It is an option. Can you utilize it? Sure. Usually people sometimes will say, what about renting to own, when they really mean owner finance? Two different things, by the way. If you rent to own, then you're still renting until you own the property or until you're able to get your mortgage. You're still the renter, hoping that the extra money that you're giving to the landlord is going into a separate account that's got your name on it, just like your security deposit would be, so that you can pay for that down payment. You're asking that person, the person who owns the house, who now he has to fix it, now has to fix the drips, got to plow the driveway, maybe or maybe not. The person that's supposed to be taking care of your livelihood that you're putting the down payment on, you're saying, here, take my money. I trust you enough with that. Well, if you can't fix the drain, then maybe you shouldn't trust them for doing that. All I'm saying. So, but on the owner finance deal, completely different thing. If you are able to get somebody to owner finance the home to you, maybe the people are young enough. Maybe they're younger than me. Maybe you own a house and you want to get it sold because you're going to move someplace else, and you say, you know what, this is a pretty good investment. If I was probably in my 40s, early 40s, I may be willing to do this if I had something like this. So so I'm saying, hey, I'll owner finance my property to you. You give me 20% down because your credit's not that great. That's usually why people do it. Or you've got some divorce things going on or some other things happening. Okay, fine. You know what? Everything else seems like it's fine. You got a good job and you can pay your bills. I'm okay with that. Plus, I get to charge you interest right now. So if I'm going to owner finance it, I'm going to get to $25,000 or $30,000 or whatever it may be up, because there's always a big down payment up front, a sizable down payment. I get that. I put it in my pocket. That's non-refundable in most cases. You can make it refundable, but if I was the owner of the house, why would I do that? So all of a sudden you don't pay the bills, you don't pay my mortgage down the road, I can foreclose on you, right? I can also make sure that I owner finance this to you for 5 years, and then you have to get your own bank financing. Then what happens then? Well, you get the bank to finance it. You go to a bank, you clean up your credit, you're able to get this done. You're living in a house that you really wanted to get into, or you're able to make more money 5 years down the road. You can afford more of this. There's a lot more you can do. A lot of people don't want to do the owner finance thing because, again, they want their money. They want it now. All right? You want to sign on the dotted line to buy the house? Okay, then let's buy the house. So anyway, so rent to own, owner finance deals, two totally different things here. This is called Ask the Realtor Live at Lunch. I am Wally with ERA Decker Real Estate here in Whitney Point, New York. You can hit me up on my website. It's called WallyGetsItDone.com. There's a reason for that, because we don't stop until the deal gets done, and we never go, well, we can't make this happen. We make sure that we try to get to that point where we can make it happen. There's all kinds of crazy things that can be done that are outside the box thinking. So let me get to this. Everybody asks this question. It comes up all the time. I was just asked this the other day. Hey, I see the house down the road is in pre-foreclosure. Can I go look at that on Saturday at 10 o'clock in the morning? The answer is no. Why? Because what's the difference between pre-foreclosure and foreclosure? Pre-foreclosure just means that somebody didn't make a payment, so now the banks put them into pre-foreclosure. What does that mean? Nothing. It just means that they missed a payment, and they pop that stuff up on the internet so you can see it on Zillow and Trulia and all those things and drive you crazy and go, oh, I want to get in there before anybody else does. So what's foreclosure? You see a house down the road, right? And you go, whoa, the people moved out. I know it got foreclosed on. Mr. Realtor, can we get in there, take a look at the house? I want to scoop that thing up. The bank's going to probably want to just give it away to us, right? So let's get in there before anybody else does. The answer usually on that question is also no. Why? Because it's not listed for sale. When you go after a foreclosure, what typically a lot of times happens is there's an insurance policy on the property because the people signed an insurance policy when they went and got their house, right? So they go in and they foreclose. That's what the insurance policy is for. The banks, because they're a bigger risk than maybe some of us are. So the bank says, no, you got to have this PMI, right? Private mortgage insurance. So you get on there, all of a sudden, the people foreclose. So what happens? They walk away. The bank says, hey, they just walked away from the mortgage. Kicked in. The insurance policy paid off on the house. The bank gives the house to, on the open market or Fannie Mae, and it gets sold from bank to bank to bank or lender to lender to lender. It doesn't mean that we can get in there and show you the house, because we can't. We don't own the house. I can't, just because someone walked away from it last week and you know that it's in foreclosure, we just can't do it. And so people do that. They chase these foreclosures all the time, and they want us to help chase them for you, and they get mad because we say we can't do that, and then they wonder why. Then they go and start peeking through windows and calling other realtors up who also say, sorry, we can't do it, because they feel like we just don't want to show them the house. Hey, I'll sell you any house that you want to buy in New York State, if it's able and I'm legal to be able to do that. Sometimes it can't be done. We have to wait for the house to come back on the market, which may be a year or 2 or 3 years down the road. Why is that? Because they use the mortgages, they use the properties as cash, and they sell. Some bank needs, they have got a whole bunch of these houses on their foreclosure list. They need money to lend to you for your truck and for your home equity loan. So they take these mortgages or these homes and they sell them to another bank so they can get money to come in so they can loan you more money. So then where is this house now? God only knows where it is. So that's why chasing foreclosures is, just not a great thing to do. One of our attorneys, my friend Gary Klein, writes, rent to own, danger, danger, Will Robinson. And I think that's it. Hey, Cynthia, how are you? I'm glad to have you guys join us today for Ask the Realtor Live at Lunch today. So foreclosures, can you get a good deal on a foreclosure? You can get an okay deal on a foreclosure, sure. But know this, that if you're going after a foreclosure and it's up for sale and you decide to go buy it, now these are normally the norms, not necessarily that things can't be changed from time to time, but they're far and few between. When you buy it from a bank, the bank doesn't like to negotiate all that much on the price. You'll wonder why, because won't it be to their benefit to be able to get and unload this thing? Everybody thinks the banks and the lenders are going to give these homes away. Not the case. They won't do that. What else won't they do? They're likely not to fix anything. If there's things that need to be fixed, sorry, you're buying as is. What if you need to have the power turn on? If it's not already on, you may have to do it yourself if you're the buyer. I've been there myself. You may have to do that. What about your home inspection? The home inspection turns up a whole bunch of stuff, and you go, hey, I want this and this and this and this and this fixed. The bank may go, buy it or don't buy it. We don't care. It's just, it really is pretty much that simple. So, you know what? I think a lot of times you're going to hear something about a friend who bought a foreclosure, turned out to be one of those gems that nobody ever finds, and now everybody goes, whoa, it's like hitting a 3-wood from the middle of the forest and whacking the heck out of it and hooking it around and through some trees and winding up on the green. You do that once and 500 times, and you go, I can do that every time. Like how I used the golf analogy, by the way, Gary. So foreclosures, can you do that? Yeah. Just be aware and be informed of what you need to do. Ask the Realtor live at lunch today. It's me, Wally, for ERA Decker Real Estate. So local real estate market right now, we got about 805 houses on the market in the Greater Binghamton Association of Realtors. 805 as of today. We had about 820 or so, I think, last week, something like that. We've been hovering in that 800, that 790 to 810 to 20 mark over the last several weeks. So what does that mean? Well, does it mean nothing's selling? No. What it means is, as fast as homes are coming on the market, they're getting sold. Why is that? Because realtors are doing their job, and sellers are listening to the realtors, and they're saying, yes, we will list our house where you tell us to, Mr. Realtor, because, or Mrs. Realtor, because we want to get our house sold. You know what? The days of having people from New York City come up and buy your house for way over asking price, I'm not sure that they ever actually really existed, but they did exist. So here's the thing. Your house is going to sell for what your house is going to sell for. Yeah, Gary is writing some more concerns on there about some rent-to-own stuff. Gary Klein from Coughlin and Gerhardt, everybody. So the homes that are coming on the market right now are being priced at about the where they need to be. Second thing with our housing market right now is that we only have about 800 houses on the market. We've only had about 800 houses. We're coming off of a winter where we were down in the 700s. Where were we at last year? A lot of the year we were in that 8 to 850 range. The housing inventory across the country has been very, very low. What does that mean for sellers? It means you're going to get a higher price point. You might get multiple offers on it. I would price the house correctly and wait for those multiple offers to happen, because they are happening now more than ever. Buyers, what does it mean to you, by the way? With a short inventory that we have right now, that means if you see something, you better make up your mind and say, yeah, let's not think about this overnight and make an offer tomorrow, because someone else did that yesterday and that house ain't going to be there tomorrow. So buyers, with the short inventory list that we have right now, go in, figure out what you want to do, talk it over. Don't talk it over too long. Make the offer quickly, but make sure you're informed when you make the offer. 805 houses, that is not a whole lot amongst Broome and Tioga counties and part of Chenango County. It's not a lot of houses. So make sure that you do that. Do your homework and make a decision and stick with it. Ask the Realtor live at lunch. Don't forget, you can also join me on my Facebook page, Weslie VanVoorhis, over at my Facebook page. You probably know where it is already. So how do I start buying a home? By the way, I want to let you know what the interest rate is today. My friend Erin Thomas Allen from Elmira Savings Bank, she's a mortgage originator over there, just wrote me and told me that a conventional 30-year fixed is at 4.0% today. So is that a little bit lower than it was early on? It is. It is a little bit lower. Why is that? Because we have a short inventory. Banks want to make some money. So sometimes they nudge that interest rate down. Also, the other thing is the Fed has come out and said, well, we may not want to mess with the economy too much, so let's not raise the interest rates this year. That's what they're saying. So now the banks are going, well, okay, we're feeling pretty good about this. So we're at 4% as of today. That's a great interest rate. When I bought my house back a while ago, my interest rate was 10%. 10%. There were people that had interest rates way back when it's 17 and 18% interest. So I felt pretty good when I got my 10% interest rate. The second reason why I got a 10% interest rate is because I was a young knucklehead and I didn't pay my bills. I do now. My interest rate is pretty good. Or I should say my credit rating is pretty good. That doesn't do you any good. First thing, though, when you're looking to go buy a house, see I'm transitioning into that, off the interest rate into the how do I buy a house thing. People call up or they say, hey, look, I want to go see this house. One of the first things that a realtor says to you is what? Are you pre-qualified? I wouldn't say it quite like that. And people go, whoa, wait a minute. You know, I don't even know you. I just called. Why are you asking me this question? The reason being is that we need to know, if we're going to help you, how much house can you buy? Right? Can you afford something up to $90,000? Well, if that's the case, why are we going to be going over here looking at the $130,000 houses? Because we can't. We're wasting our time. And we shouldn't do that. And it's not a waste of time per se. I don't want to make it sound like I might have made it sound. The thing is, we're here to try to help you buy a house. So we need to know. It's like when you walk onto a car lot and they go, what's your budget? Well, I'm thinking between $5,000 and $8,000. Used car. I want something with tires on it. That's all. Tires. Crank windows, because that's all I can afford. When we are looking to help you buy a house, we need to get you pre-qualified. So can you get pre-qualified from anybody? You can go and ask for a pre-approval. They commonly call it a pre-approval letter, by the way. And that doesn't mean you're going to get the loan. It just means that all these conditions have set forth in the things that you've told me and the background check that we did, because we're a lender now, that you are pre-qualified to buy a house between this and buy this. Now, are there other extenuating things? Now, you might say to yourself, hey, I've got I got a guarantee on my wages for a student loan. I can't ever buy a house. How do you know? How do you know? Well, I can't because of that. So I can only rent to own. How do you know? You don't. Different lenders have different requirements for different things. And some of them, especially the local ones, will talk to you because they're local people. They know circumstances. They can help you out. They know people. Listen, it's all about asking the right question. And that's how you start buying a house. Get pre-qualified. All right. Now, the last thing I want to get to here on this Ask the Realtor Live at Lunch today is what's that whole term sweat equity? Now, you see on the bulletin board behind my head, by the way, I write something up there every week. It's the hidden message. You don't really have to stop watching HGTV just because I said so. But let me tell you this scenario. Because of this is what we hear a lot. We have people walking into a home. They're pre-qualified for $101,000 up to $105,000. They walk in. The first thing they say is, I want 5 acres of land. I want a double garage. I want complete privacy. I want granite countertops. I want a finished basement. I want 2 bathrooms and 3 bedrooms. Boy, it'd be great if I had an additional bonus room too. And I want all this for $102,000. Well, it's nice to want, but that's probably not going to happen. If you want one of those, you might want to look for one of those foreclosures that also probably won't exist. So here's what I'm going to tell you. Sweat equity. I want to talk about that. If you're willing to do some of the work, you can make some of these homes just like we described, but you're going to have to buy a house that's $102,000 or $100,000 or $95,000 and be able to do the work on it yourself. Or have friends or buddies. When we bought our house up in Green, we could do the work. And we had friends that could help us do the work. And boy, did we help them. We went through a lot of beer and a lot of pizza trying to get people to come in and help us. After a while, you'll lose a few friends by that, or they just get old or they move away. But my point being is that when you watch these shows on TV, on HGTV or one of the other whatever network, DIY networks, whatever they are, and they're all fascinating shows, you see people walking into a house going, oh, wow, you know what? It doesn't have granite countertops, and it's a fixer-upper at $600,000. let me tell you, a $600,000 house in this area is going to buy you a heck of a lot of house. We're talking about houses that are in the the $80,000, $90,000, $70,000 range, something like that. They're typically going to be smaller houses. So when you're walking in, you need to be thinking to yourself, can I do the work here? If you're going to buy an $84,000 or $90,000 house, you're typically not going to have granite countertops, and you might have a few updates, which are really nice. That means that's less that you have to do. The square footage might be small, so can I add on to it at some point? Is there a spot here where I can maybe add on? Does it not have a garage and needs one? Well, can I put one there? Can I put a carport there at some point? Think about the things that you can do yourself or have friends that can do. Everybody watches these TV shows and they go, whoa, wow, you know, I want all of it. These are all my must-haves. Okay, that's great. But sweat equity is going to help you get the house you want. Not today. You can buy the house today. It's going to get you the house you want to live in tomorrow down the road. But you're going to have to buy it today and start working on it. And by the way, you'll keep your mortgage rate down a little bit. You'll keep your mortgage down a little bit, by the way. So if you get into a house and you're spending the $100,000-ish, $110,000 on a house, and you say, wow, you know what? It doesn't have everything I need. Well, can I move in? Can I turn the key and start living there? And then can I start doing some of this work so that down the road, all of a sudden, my house is now worth a heck of a lot more because I put all this stuff into it. Things I think you need to think about. So you can't have everything for $85,000. That's my point I'm trying to get across there. Be willing to do the work if you want everything in that house that you want. It's called Ask the Realtor Live at Lunch. As always, you can email me at wally@eradecker.com. I've also got a website. It's called wallygetsit.done.com. And there's some cool advice there. There's property home insights I have on that. There's also local insights about different areas and parks and different things to do in the area. Lots of blogs. You can also visit me on my YouTube channel. It's just Wally VanVoorhis on YouTube, VanVoorhis. It's on YouTube. I think there's about 130 videos there, how-to videos. So make sure you check it out. And if you ever have a question, you can certainly give me a call or text here at my phone, 725-1446. So it's Ask the Realtor Live at Lunch. It's me, Wally. I'll talk to you next week. Peace out, Boy Scout. See you later.